Hi everyone, it's Jan from Jan Plans Things, and welcome to my Plan With Me video for November. I'm going to be going through my monthly setup this month, and instead of using watercolors like you've seen me do previously, I'm going to be using Posca pens. Posca pens are they're kind of like a paint-based marker, and it's a water-based paint. And I had fun using them during Inktober, and I got a set of them then. And I find them really nice and bright and really excellent for kind of like flat illustrated drawings. And I thought I'd try to do something fun and cheerful this month of November because it's spring in Australia. So I thought, why not try something a bit different and use the Posca pen. So to start off with, there's a couple of different thicknesses of the pens. There's a really wide one, which you would use for big areas of colouring in. There's also a thinner one, which is like the 3mm bullet tip, and then also a really fine tip. So I'm mostly using the 3mm tip to do the colouring here because I found the really big tip a little bit too thick. And after I do the block colouring, like you just saw me do with the pastel green, I'm just going through with a thinner tip and using that to add the shadows to the greenery. I think that Poscas lend themselves really well to this flat type painting style. The colours they have like a primary set of colours as well as a pastel set of colours is what I have so far. I would recommend you testing small swatches of the colours on a card beforehand so that you can build your palette to make sure the colours go together, because some of them kind of clash, and I was careful to just kind of set up the palettes that I wanted. Some of you saw it on my Instagram stories, and I did that beforehand just to make sure everything would kind of go well together. I've decided to do also slightly different lettering this week. I'm doing like the nice big bold letters and having the plants kind of emerge out of them. With the Posca pens, I kind of recommend using a lighter colour first and going back over a darker colour, because even though the pens are quite opaque, they're not 100% opaque, because I can still see the dots of my bullet journal through the stroke sometimes. The other thing is you can build up the ink, and it will slowly layer up and become a lot more smooth and opaque. But the problem is sometimes some dust and fibers gets into the paints and they kind of pill, creating like little balls of lint almost on top of the surface of the paper. So just be careful of that. That's when you're layering it on too much, and always look to get like a spare piece of paper off to the side so you can remove excess paint from the tip. The pens themselves have this kind of like pump action thing where you shake it a lot and you can hear like the metal ball rolling in the barrel, and then you just kind of like pump the tip to get the paint flowing. It's a lot like the metallic pens that you get a lot, but you don't get that strong alcohol scent because these pens are water-based. Now at this point of my drawing, I actually stopped and I started doing the monthly spread, but after thinking about it, I thought it was a bit too simple. So I went back after I finished all the spreads, but I've kind of stitched it all together here for you, and I added some extra leaves and stuff around the bottom because I just kind of wanted to fill it in a little bit more, and I wanted the page to be kind of like packed full of color. November's my birthday month, so I kind of wanted to make it look all nice and happy. And I've also found that you can kind of achieve a really fun effect really quickly with these pens. So what I'm doing now is I'm patching out large areas of like the palm leaves and the cactus. The little cactus looks a bit like a mitten, and then you'll be able to see, because I try to draw it bigger so you'll be able to see a little bit clearer what I do and how to build up the details on the plants. I've purposely tried to pick bright and happy colours, and I might not do leaves all the way through this month, but basically I'll alternate between doing some leaves, doing some landscapes, but overall kind of giving a more warm feel. I do know that a lot of you come from the US. It's actually gearing up to be a little bit colder for you, but it is nice to have something matchy, because I did a little bit of fall last month already with my mushrooms theme. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. You might want to, but I hope you also enjoy a slightly different take on it as well. I'm using the really thin tip. It's like a vermilion red to add the little details of the daisies. I find that with these pens, the simpler the better. When I've had to do details with the pen, like getting really tight, I can actually brush it onto a brush and use that to paint in details. But I guess the benefit of using something like this is that it should be easier and more portable. You do have to carry a lot of pens with you than watercolor, because you don't have to carry, like, you know, the jars of water everywhere. So it should be this video took about, I don't know, a third of the time that it normally takes. This spread only took, I think, 20 minutes all up. So I find it a lot faster to draw with, because there's because the kind of style that the pens lend themselves to is kind of like this flat, almost like clip art style, and I really like how it looks, and it's really bright on my pages as well. The other thing is, because they're water based, unlike Copics, which are alcohol based pens, there is no bleeding. So you'll see me flip the page when I get to my when I get to my monthly spread, and you'll notice that there is actually no bleeding at all. So I can't even see anything. So you can see I've just pulled up the page here, and you can't tell at all that there was a lot of paint and bright colors on the previous page. And that's also a testament to how excellent the Archer and Olive notebook is holding ink. So that's just, you know, that's what I just flicked backwards and forwards there, because I was like, whoa, this feels like a lot of paint. Is it actually bleeding through? I haven't photographed it yet, so I better check. So I had a look, and nothing was going through at all, and I was super happy about that. I found that sometimes if I was coloring too much with the pens, like I was overzealous with it, the pens might run a little bit dry, and to just stop that, all I did was I kind of just pumped the pen again on the other side of on a scrap piece of paper, and got the ink running again. And once that happened, it kind of fixed it up quite easily. So the other thing is, because these are relatively opaque, if you wait for them to dry, you'll be able to draw on top of them a lot easier. If you leave them and they're still a little bit wet, what happens is that the ink kind of clings onto the tip, and you end up mixing colors instead. I've been checking out, there's another Russian brand that has paint markers like this, and they have a few more mid-tone colors, so I might look into getting some of those. You can see I just put on the brown strip there, a bit of the blue grass kind of peeping up, and it came up really brightly, mainly because I had waited for it to dry before I painted on it. If I had not waited for it to dry, it would have gotten like that blue smudgy look throughout the brown and wouldn't have been as nice. I do love how the stylization of this spread, it's kind of, I like the blue and the warm colors, and it's kind of like a really different effect to what I was going before. It's a lot more painterly. With this type of drawing style, I really like doing the really kind of like geometric shapes and then filling those in with detail. So I'm hoping that for those of you who like to follow along with my spreads, that this is a little bit easier to follow along than the really painterly ones I've been doing the last 2 months. That being said, if you do one of my spreads, I'd love to see it. Some of you do it and then tag me months later, but I love it when you guys send them to me, because it makes me really happy to think that you like the work enough to try and replicate it. So please send them to me, and most of the time I try and share them in my Instagram stories. So if you have an Instagram account and you do share the spreads, just tag me in the photo, not in the description, so I can see them, because if you tag me just in the description, it doesn't really show up easily in my what are they called? Notifications. They kind of just zoom past, so I miss them. So I apologize in advance if I haven't commented on them. It means I haven't seen them, and it's not because I've ignored them or anything, because it does make me super happy to see when you guys make my spreads. You can see this week I've been using the Rotring pen instead of my Sakura microns. I've managed to get over my horror of using of using these Rotring pens. I had them a lot in architecture school, as I mentioned last time, so it took a little bit to use them again. But the thing is, I was going through so many Sakura microns, I kind of felt guilty of the impact I was having upon the environment, and at least like they weren't easily recyclable. So at least the Rotrings are refillable, and the one of like 3 of my Rotrings are over 35 years old, so I do know they last the distance if you do maintain them well. The other thing is, a lot of you guys have asked me about an animal-friendly paintbrush. So I've been trying a couple of new paintbrushes that I'll try and review for you, and that's mainly so that for those of you who are uncomfortable with using Kolinsky hair, I've been trying a synthetic variety as well. So I've been trying the Princeton brushes, and as well as the black velvet brushes by Silverbrush. If there's any others you recommend, I've also tried a few of the rosemary runs. I'll try and do a rundown after I've tested them a little bit more thoroughly. So that's my monthly setup. I really liked how that one turned out. I thought it was really sweet. And now I'm going into my 2 like fun pages. The page on the left is going to be my mood tracker. This one's going to look a bit funny until I actually finish it during the month. The mood tracker I have is literally just going to be, it looks like the bottom of the flowers when you pull off all the petals. The idea being is through the month, I'll actually paint the flowers on the end of all the stems depending on how I feel on the day. So I'll use happier colors for happier days, bluer colors for sadder days, and I'll probably have a nice bouquet, hopefully more warm colors towards the end of the month, although I do always get a little bit depressed around my birthday because, you know, it's about the time to have an existential crisis in November. I seem to do it every year, but I get over it pretty quickly. I think this year I'm turning 30, so that's a big milestone for me, and I'm throwing a 29 3/4 party with one of my best friends. She's also turning 30, so obviously it's all Harry Potter themed, so I'll be having fun doing that next week. On the right hand side, I'm doing my ideas pages. My ideas page is kind of like my brain dump when I have little lists of ideas that I want to do. I also track all my giveaways on my ideas pages, and maybe I should come up with a new title. But this is kind of like my favorite thing to do. I just freehand a couple of like rounded rectangles, and I'm just putting a few more little seaweed looking plants in there, but I'm using the blue this time because these 2 pages are blue, and I find that it matches really well with the cover that I'm using at the moment, which is the cover from Hobonichi. And I'm using some nice soft pink flowers and using the blue for the center of the flowers, kind of link it together. And I've got my YouTube and Instagram tracker on there as usual as well. I'm now using the pale blue color just to add the shadows, and actually these colors are from the basic, I think 10 or 12 pack that you can get, and that was like pretty handy as well. So now I'm moving on to doing my weekly. The weekly page, I'm doing like nice big flowers, and this kind of is based on the prints that you see at Marimekko. They're like a Swedish fabric company that also makes some really designery dresses. I imagine if Edna Mode had smock, she'd be wearing something from Marimekko, or probably Comme des Garçons, knowing Edna. But you know, I really love the big flower prints they do, so that's what I'm basing this design on. And also an artwork that I saw on Instagram. I'm going to link that below in my description so you guys can follow the artist as well. I really enjoy her work. So these flowers, what I'm doing is I'm kind of just making the big splodge of color at the beginning. I kind of just free-handed the shape around the outside. I didn't really care so much that it looked too much like a flower, more like a crepe flower, so it didn't really matter. And I'm using a complementary color for the center and trying to keep within that palette of the oranges and the blues. I'm just using a cream in the center of the blue. It's actually white, but because of how quickly I painted on the yellow, the tip picked up some yellow, so it's a bit creamier. And then I'm using a bright green for the leaves. I think if I had the opportunity, I probably would have used a sage green or kind of a more muted green if I had it, but the Posca pen doesn't come in that color yet, and I'm still crossing my fingers for something like that in the future. And now after that, I'm quickly going through it with the detail pen and just adding those little strokes for the flower petals, which gives the image a little bit of dimension. I really like doing flowers this way because it's fast. It's like you draw the flower, you do a circle in the middle, and then darken kind of like a bullseye and just kind of dot in extra details, and it's a really effective way of drawing this flower. And I kind of love how almost paint-like or print-like it looks on the center of my page. I know it's good because I had it this week during work on my table, and a lot of people stopped and went, oh, that's really, really cool. I thought they were stickers because the colors were so bright. And now I'm just using the slightly lighter color just to add a few more other leaves to the thing. I'm using the black Posca as a background for the dots, and I wish I kind of didn't do that because the paint is really thick and my white pen didn't sit as well on top of those, so I probably should have just drawn the circle using my regular black pen or the Tombow Fudenosuke. I think that would have been a little bit more effective for the date bubbles. Speaking of the Tombow Fudenosuke, there's the Old Faithful again coming out to do the headings, and I had a lot of fun with this. So I'm just adding a little bit of detail in terms of the little lines on the leaves, but otherwise I'm just, you know, splotching in a bit of color, but otherwise that's pretty much done. So this spread, I think I timed it. This one took 30 minutes, which is really fast, I feel like, because like the painting ones took me a little bit longer, around 45 minutes. It was just a lot more fun and easy to do, and I think I'll enjoy doing this type of aesthetic for the rest of the month. But I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and if you have any questions about it, just write in the comments and I'll try and get to them as soon as I can. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye!